Broadcasting the information the mainstream media won't touch. This is The Richie Allen Show in association with DavidIke.com.
Let's welcome our only guest to the programme today. He's no stranger to you. He's been on this programme in the past. I first met him in London when he made a programme called Ken O'Keefe's Even Middle East for TPV. He's an activist and a human rights campaigner, and for many years he's been very vocal about the injustices inflicted upon the people of Gaza, the people of Palestine, and much more besides. Now, late last year he launched a new initiative, the World Citizen Contract Initiative, and he ran a crowdfunding campaign for that, and an Indiegogo campaign. There's a website, we'll give you the website so you can look at the details yourself and all of that. And he's been working on that pretty much since then, amongst other things that he's doing as well. Now, recently, his friend and longtime collaborator Max Egan went public on his own website and made a number of very serious allegations about Ken personally and the project itself. Max was on this programme speaking about that. Ken was offered the right to reply before Max came on, and Ken took it and is here and joins us live now on the line. Ken, you're welcome back to the programme. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Fortunately, I've had a lot of preparation for moments like these. So, for most people, I'm sure it would be extremely uncomfortable. But I have to say, it's just a testament to the fact that when you do the kinds of things that I'm endeavoring to do, these things are going to come your way. I've known that a long time. So I'm feeling good. This time around is much easier than the last couple of times where I've had subversion because I didn't really have the evidence to support my case in many important areas. This time around is very different. So I look forward to getting that evidence out there and allowing people to really question their own kind of outlook in life and their ability to judge people so carte blanche simply because somebody throws out accusations. I mean, injustice has been a major motivator in my life. In fact, it was a personal injustice that set me on this course in the Marine Corps, and it's fuel for me. So while I don't really appreciate people saying nasty things, especially when they get involved with family members and whatnot, it's really quite disgusting. And I really hope people do self-reflect. But at the end of the day, again, this is all par for the course. There's no way for me to avoid this kind of stuff. The only real surprise this time around is that Max Egan is leading the charge.
Right. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I stand by what I said to you last week and what I said to my listeners. I have no axe to grind with you or with Max or with anybody else. I didn't have anything to do with the project. You and I met each other in London. We always had cordial conversations when we spoke, and you've come on this programme in the past. I certainly have no axe to grind. I didn't ask you, and this isn't a loaded question, it's just out of curiosity. Where are you at the moment? Are you in the Caribbean somewhere? Yes,
I am in Dominica. That much is true.
Fair enough. Right. As I said, it wasn't a loaded question. I should have asked you just before we came on so I could say you're in Dominica. The first thing I want to say, Ken, I want to ask even is, you mentioned subversions there. The subversion report, the 31-page document that you wrote and sent to Max, you sent it to him and then you said to him on Skype, and he said this last week, you said, "Good boy, what I said in the report will be public the moment I hear one whiff of your bullshit from you or your friends." Now, Ken, a lot of people have said, and this is not personal, I'm not going to say that again, it's the first and only time I'm going to say it's not personal. A lot of people have said, Ken, that's very sinister, that's very almost Scientology-like. It's almost cult-like. Here's a subversion report, because you're asking me questions and saying things about the project, and if I get any whiff of your bullshit, I'm going to make it public. You could also argue, Ken, that that's blackmail. What do you say to that?
Do you understand the definition of blackmail, Richie? And can you tell me what blackmail means?
Blackmail, Ken, is when you say to somebody, I've got some information that's going to be embarrassing for you. And if I hear a whiff of anything from you at all, I'm going to publish it. That's blackmail, Ken, by any definition.
No, that's not actually true. Blackmail involves a bribe, i.e. I have information that will expose you and cause you damage. And if you don't give me money, then I'm going to publicize it. Now, in this case, let's get the record straight, and this is part of your shoddy journalism from last week, Richie.
Shoddy journalism.
Talk to me.
Ken, I'm not on. Listen, Ken, my integrity is not at question here. Yours is, not mine.
I didn't interrupt you, but okay, go on.
No, listen, I don't want to interrupt you either. But there's no shoddy journalism. Is Gilad Atzmon wrong when he says it was a shining example of how to conduct an interview and play the devil's advocate? Is he lying, Ken?
Are you
Why
a
did he say
journalist, Richie? And you made conclusions. I'm going to quote you.
I am a journalist.
I'm going to
But
quote
my
you.
integrity is not at stake here, Ken. Yours is. Not mine.
Oh, really? So that's what we're doing here, is it, Richie? And you are what? Are you the judge? Or is the
I'm
audience
certainly
the
not.
judge? Is that what we're doing here?
I'm certainly. I
'Cause
thought we were here to ask you questions.
Okay, I'm going to shut up until you finish your point.
You're finished, are you? Okay. The purpose of this, Ken, is for me to ask you a series of questions based on the allegations made not only by Max Egan, but by everybody who worked on the project with you in the first team. Very serious allegations. So it's up to me to put questions to you and allow you answers them. Now, you said that it wasn't blackmail because you mentioned a bribe. But can you substitute the bribe for threatening to embarrass Max? It's the same thing. You shut up or I'm going to publish this. That's blackmail, Ken.
Okay, so now we're going to put out evidence that shows that Max Egan had received many communications making very clear that I had empirical evidence proving that he knew certain things, such as he knew that I had a contract with a prominent international human rights attorney who was answering 4 questions, and you have been supplied that evidence, Richie, and I'm waiting to hear if you consider that proof that Max knew that I had legal work with a prominent international human rights attorney answering the very questions that would give us the direction to be able to take this legal and lawful approach in such a way that would have immense powerful. Max knew about that on March 22nd. I'm going to prove that over the next 24 hours with Skype chats and screenshots that show that Max was notified. He even said in the Skype chats, "It's all good, Ken, just getting pressure from the outside." I did this several times, and then I kept getting rumbles from people about, what are you doing about the legal plan? You have no legal plan. Why aren't you sharing it with the team? What's going on with the finances? We need full transparency. Are you spending the money in the wrong places? And all of these accusations were occurring. And over the course of months, from the Anarchapulco conference in February of this year, I was trying to identify, where is this coming from? And because I was giving Max the information that is provable, that he knew that I had this critical legal work going on, I didn't think it was him. I thought it was somebody else. And over the months, I realized little by little, piecing all this information together, that in fact, through a supporter of the mission who had communications with third parties, that Max indeed was directing this. And again, I've got evidence. I'm not just speaking. Unlike your guest last week there, Richie, where he's made criminal allegations. We're talking blackmail, that's a criminal allegation. Fraud, that's a criminal allegation. Theft, that's a criminal allegation. And you said,
and we're going to deal with what he said.
You asked him if he had evidence, and guess what? Max Egan did a nice little tap dance, offered no evidence whatsoever, and you never called him on it. Let me tell you what would happen, Richie, if Max Egan went on MSNBC or Fox or ABC or BBC or anything like that, and he said those things. These are slanderous comments, slanderous accusations of a criminal nature, and if a BBC or a Fox reporter didn't challenge them properly, I would then have a slander case to show that Fox or BBC did not properly challenge this person who had no evidence whatsoever, and in fact made criminal allegations against me, which weren't properly challenged by you.
Are you finished?
But Fox, I believe Fox and BBC would have done a better job than you, quite frankly. Otherwise, I'd have a lawsuit against either one of them.
And yet people like David Icke, people like Gilad Asman, who's a close personal friend of yours, I could name more.
Doesn't change anything.
Jim,
but
of course,
listen, about what I've said.
You said you wouldn't interrupt me. You said you wouldn't interrupt me. You said you wouldn't interrupt me. Right.
So here's the first thing, Richie, that you got wrong, and we're going to correct it.
Excuse me, hang on a second now. Hang on a second. This is a back and forth. This is a back and forth, right?
Excuse me, what? What are we doing?
This is a back and forth. This is a conversation. We listen to one another. So let me just deal with that allegation that it wasn't sound journalism. Of course it was. He was asked several times, Ken.
You have just said, I'm going to show you where you are dead wrong. That subversion report, which you characterized as nothing but a rambling waste of time, effectively.
Very obsessive, 31-page document.
I'm going to read from you the subversion report that you say you read thoroughly.
Now,
okay?
Here we go. Yeah. Hang on a second now. You just said to me there.
That's not relevant, is it?
You said to me a couple of minutes ago, you have proof, Richie, you said. You have proof that there's a contract that exists between me and a human rights lawyer. I don't have any such proof. Let me tell you what you sent me. Yeah. You sent me a Skype message on Saturday or I can't remember which day it was. And you said, I have his opinion in my hands, Richie, and it is solid gold. And Max knew I had this, and you failed to see him in this monumental lie that was the primary accusation against me. Here is a screenshot of the Skype communication with Max where he was showing the contract I had with Dr. Dobler. Now, I asked you to send it to me and you did, but it's not an opinion. And what it is it's a 2-page PDF document of a proposed contract, of a proposal between you and the lawyer to do legal work for you to form an opinion as to whether or not this could be done legally. But it's not proof of anything, Ken. It's not proof of anything.
You believe I've sent you a fraudulent Skype transcript?
Not at all. Not at all. I've not said that.
Dr. Dobler and I signed that
I
contract.
have not said that at all. You're not listening to me, Ken. I didn't say that. I've not accused you of fraud at all. You said you provided proof. It's not proof. You said you have his opinion in my hands. And don't forget, Ken, I don't know if you listened to the interview with Max in its entirety. Max said that you had conversations about it where you told him that you'd paid $4,000 for an opinion, but the opinion came back to say that it wasn't doable. Is that true, Ken?
I'm going to go in a certain sequence here because you've
already
that true,
thrown out.
You are cutting me off too much now, Richie.
I'm not, Ken.
Honestly.
I'm asking you questions. You're not answering them.
No. You're not going to put me on the defense and presume me guilty before proven innocent.
I'm not presuming
that
you
is
anything.
The exact opposite of the way any sane society would move forward.
I'm not presuming anything,
Ken. I
Ken.
thank you for providing an example of the opposite of what World Citizen is about, because if you did any due diligence at all, you would know it's about natural rights. And among the natural rights that exist in any sane society is that a man or a woman is innocent until proven guilty. I ask you what evidence you've received from Max to back up any of these accusations. You have nothing. Absolutely nothing. And if you do, put it out there. I'm happy for any evidence to support any of these claims, criminal charges against me. You didn't challenge him properly, and you've started off this program with a falsehood, which is the accusation that it's a blackmail attempt. That subversion report was my attempt to keep this out of the public eye by telling Max directly, and only
What
him.
did the lawyer tell you, Ken?
You also got it wrong last week when
What
you said,
did the lawyer tell you? What was his opinion, Ken?
Can't publish. I heard Max speaking and rambling so long last week, and you are cutting me off at every turn.
I'm asking you questions and you are
difference
refusing
between
to
our
answer.
treatment right
You're refusing to answer the question, Ken.
You said that that report, that subversion report, was akin to blackmail. Is that not what you've just said?
Do you want me to repeat what you said to Max Egan? Do you want me to repeat what you said to Max Egan?
Did you just characterize that subversion report as a form of blackmail?
Yes, because it is, Ken. Come on,
Okay,
Ken.
so now I'm going to answer that with facts, some of which are in the report itself, and some of which are proven by Skype chat screenshots.
What opinion did the lawyer give you, Ken?
I tried everything I could to avoid this.
What opinion did the lawyer give you?
This public circus was made real by Max. The only person who had that subversion report was Max and me. That's it. And I told him in the report itself, which you failed to read thoroughly, and I also
read it,
have
all right.
Skype chats verifying the fact that I told Max I wanted to resolve this. I wanted to resolve this privately instead of publicly, but if he continued to sabotage the mission, such as his Monkey Mind podcast in April of this last year, his Monkey Mind podcast, The Year of the Trickster, in which he is defaming me, misrepresenting the mission, and I kept my mouth shut for months. Even though he publicly slandered me and misrepresented the mission, he did other things that I can prove, and I will be submitting for the public record over the next day.
I look forward to seeing them.
That evidence
and
will
we'll post
establish
them.
beyond any doubt that I did everything I could to avoid this circus.
Ken,
I
we
have
will
no
post
interest
them.
in it whatsoever.
When you
That
post things,
subversion
we will
report
post
was
them.
not blackmail. That was an attempt to stop this public circus. And if you read the subversion report itself,
Listen to yourself, Ken. Subversion report. It's like
evidence.
Scientology, Ken. It's like a
Evidence.
cult.
I don't know where this
Come on,
Scientology
Ken.
rubbish
A
is coming
subversion
from.
report.
This is evidence.
You'd expect that from Tommy Archer in Los Angeles at the Scientology church. Let me ask you this. What was the legal opinion the lawyer gave you, Ken? What did the lawyer say? What was the legal opinion Dobler gave you?
Hour and a half that we have, I'm going to tell you that as sort of a nice little celebration at the end for
Good.
everybody who donated money.
I hope
because
there's something to
that
celebrate.
liquid gold I have that I supplied you with a contract to prove that I have that opinion in hand. I'm going to save that for later, Richie. That's going to be something we're going to have fun with. Right now, I'm going to tell you flat out what I said in the subversion report, because that's evidence. It's not my opinion. It's what's in the report. This is a quote from page 30 of the report. Here is what it says. Quote, "What I face now as the mission leader is how to explain to the public who has funded this mission why the delays. Let it be known that I am now completing this report after a major investment in time, and I am soon to send this report to Max himself with the question put to him, what would you have me do, Max? If it is possible to verify real and significant damage control on Max's behalf, then I will seriously consider not making this report public. My problems, however, include the fact that I surely do not know all the people Max has influenced and how far this negative influence has reached. Indeed, I do not know the extent of the damage, and even if I get Max to make serious moves to remedy the problems he has instigated, that damage will be spread from those he has influenced and whom I do not know about. In parting on this, additionally, I am still forced to explain to the public the delays that are directly attributable to Max's actions. So if I am able to explain these delays without mentioning Max, I am in truth withholding critical information. The bottom line is that I'm in a very difficult position in which I would prefer to cause no harm to Max's reputation so as to protect his ongoing work. But at the same time, I find it impossible to justify knowingly endangering the mission's prospects of success by protecting a man who has actively harmed the mission. And I have proof of that harm. Especially, I want everybody who's listening to Google on YouTube Max Egan, Monkey Mind, the Year of the Trickster. Listen to that video. Max is slandering me and misrepresenting the mission, and I have sat with that and said nothing for all these months. So don't you dare tell me I issued that report as a threat. It was my attempt to genuinely stop this madness before it happened. So you are wrong and did not read the report thoroughly. And I can quote more stuff in dialogue with Max on Skype chats, which is going to be submitted for the public record that proves I was trying to avoid this. So
hang on a second now. Why did the 7 members of the team walk away from you and resign? And why did you say in a video on the 25th of June that you had to release the team when that was an absolute lie? Because we saw a letter of resignation from a man called William Genska, I hope I didn't pronounce that wrong, and your response to it. So why did you say that you let the team go when actually the opposite is true, Ken? There's a big difference there, isn't there?
I didn't share critical information with William. I tried to get him to finish his work, which he was paid for. I'm going to also supply proof that I paid him well over $5,000 for work that he did not complete. I was attempting to get that work completed, playing a delicate game, but he resigned before I could get that work done.
But you said you fired him, Ken.
I was attempting to get that work completed before letting him go. I had already made the decision, so it's not a lie at all.
Well, it is. You said you fired the team, you let them go, but you didn't. They resigned, Ken, all of them.
I was doing the best I could to honor people's donations, to get the work done that I had paid William to do, which he did not do, and I can prove he did not do.
Do you want me to play the clip where you said that you released the team? Do you want me to play the clip where you said you released the team?
I'm going to play some clips for you too, Richie, right? What's good for the goose is good for the gander, because I've got some clips that
Ken, you're a very angry man, and you're angry with the wrong guy. I'm a radio presenter trying to get to the bottom of what's going on with your organisation.
And I'm going to play mine as well.
Do you understand?
I'm going to play my clips as well, Richie.
Go ahead. Do you understand the way this works, Ken? You've been around the block a few hundred times, haven't you? The same as I have.
Yeah, I have.
So you know the way this works.
Yeah,
very, very grave and serious allegations have been made against you by a lot of people, Ken. A lot of people. I challenged every one of them, my friend, and I pointed out you would be here and you would get... Listen, Ken,
I challenge you.
You're here now.
I challenge you.
You're here right now and you're not answering my questions, Ken.
Submit the evidence
this is not looking good, Ken.
Put it out there in the public record. You show what evidence you've got, Richie. Otherwise, I will come after you for slander.
You'll come after me, will you?
Criminal. You've even in this broadcast alone started off with the accusation that I was effectively committing blackmail. That is a criminal offense of which you have absolutely no evidence whatsoever. All you have is hearsay.
Are you finished, Ken?
A pseudo-journalist who has done a shoddy job.
Are you finished, Ken?
Said he read the document thoroughly and didn't even read what I just had, or many other things such as
I've
the
read
contract,
it all, Ken.
which I had shown to Max. So
I've read it all.
You go ahead and play your clip, but don't you dare try and tell me that this works in such a way where you play your clip and I don't play mine.
I think for obvious reasons, you're obviously incredibly angry. You're here, Ken, because you're exercising your right of reply. That's the way journalism works. Now, you asked for proof. You did a video on June 25th updating people on the mission, and you told a provable lie. You said you released the original team. You didn't, Ken. They walked away from you. You know this to be true. So why should
be kidding?
We know this to be true, Ken.
You know the internal workings of what I was doing, and you know
we saw William's letter of resignation, Ken. You didn't fire me, resigned.
I was letting William go, but needed to get the work done that I had paid him to do.
You said you released him and you didn't. You resigned.
If I had let him go at that moment, I definitely wouldn't have got the work, but I was trying to get the work he was paid for. William should be answering for the money he took and the job he did not do. But instead, you're more concerned about the sequence of how he was let go or his resignation letter.
He resigned, Ken. You said you fired him. But you said you released the entire team. You didn't. The team collectively told you they wouldn't have anything to do with you anymore. You know this, Ken. Come on. It's a massive difference to say you were released or I released the team, but they resigned. They resigned. That goes to the heart of your integrity, Ken.
Wow.
What do you mean, wow, Ken?
You have the proof because what? They told you?
Ken,
why?
Because we've seen...
No. Answer the question.
I am answering you, Ken.
Are you saying you believe these people, but you don't believe me? In the case of William,
we're talking
he did
about
hand over
evidence.
A resignation letter, and I have witnesses.
So why did you say you let him go then?
In my team, I have witnesses who will say he was being let go. But Ken was trying to get the work done. So you know that my witnesses are less valid than yours, correct?
I saw the letter of resignation,
Ken. You're friends with Max Egan?
I'm not personal friends with Max Egan at all. I've never met Max.
Friends. You're lying. You know you're a friend.
Not at all. Max has been on this program as you have several times in the past. But to say I'm a personal friend of his would be wrong. I'm not. I'm an admirer of his. And until now, Ken, I have to say I've been an admirer of yours, my friend. You know,
yeah, well,
and I have.
Oh.
I've said some very nice things about you. I've enjoyed meeting you and I've enjoyed you being on this program. But you're refusing to answer questions and trying to turn this into a screaming match. Well, I asked you 5 minutes ago, what was the legal opinion given to you by Dr. Dubler?
Did you say we have plenty of time?
We have plenty of time.
Listen.
But you didn't answer the question, did you?
The idea that someone can throw out baseless accusations of a criminal nature without evidence that you bought into wholesale, like some shoddy pseudo-journalist. The fact that you think
Ken,
that
my integrity is not at question here, my friend.
Which have no basis in fact.
Ken, my integrity is not questioned here, my friend.
It is the antithesis of the world that we must create. A world in which somebody is guilty until proven innocent is not a world that's good for you, me,
that's
or
a
our
nonsense,
children.
Ken.
So I will not play into your hand of being accused of something with no evidence.
You've been invited on the program, Ken, to give your side of the story, right?
I can prove Max is lying on so many different levels. Most importantly, the legal issue that you're so concerned about. That's why I'm saving that one for just a few more moments. Ultimately, I haven't refused to answer any question. Ask me a question, I'll answer it.
Right.
If you want
let me just do a quick.
Question,
let me
fine.
just do a.
You want to get into that? You want to get into the legal?
Ken,
you want to get into that? So what I have is evidence.
Let's just calm down, Ken. How about we just calm down? How about we just calm down? How about we do that? How about we just calm down? Right? You were on a radio show, Ken. You're on a radio show answering allegations made by a guy who was on the radio show last week. That's the absolute essence of journalism. You're responding to the things he said last week. But I've asked you a couple of things. You're not happy with them. I don't want to dwell on your assertion in June that you released the team and the fact that you didn't really. They resigned, the original team. But the fact is, Ken, it does. And I don't want any more rants. Let's just talk about this. It goes right to the heart of your credibility when you say I released all these people and you didn't.
Wow, what a disingenuous ploy. You have no proof that I didn't let them go. You're basing your opinion on hearsay and what people said.
But I saw your response to William's resignation letter.
Okay, whatever, Richie. Fine, whatever. You caught me out. I didn't release them. Well done, Richie.
So why did you say that you did, Ken?
We'll move on to the next subject.
But why did you say that you did when you didn't? That's why did you say you did release them when you didn't?
Do you know about my meeting with Samantha Bachman in Philadelphia? Do you know about my conversations with Max? Do you know about my conversations with William? Why are you basing? What proof do you have?
I just answered you several times, Ken.
No. You say my integrity has been impugned by the fact that I did not release these people. You put out in the public record what proves your point and disproves mine. And we'll put my witnesses against your witnesses, and we'll see what people say. In terms of the resignation letter of William, I've already told you the context. I had work that he was paid to do, and I needed to try and get that
Still
work
a lie,
done,
though,
lest
isn't it?
I not pay my responsibilities due to the donors. That is why, by the way, Richie, and I can prove this as well, I have taken zero pay. Zero pay. For 8 months, I have not taken any pay from the beginning, not one penny. Yet William Gensk has received over $5,000. Samantha Bachman has received roughly $5,000. Several others have been paid thousands of dollars as well. And the legal work that was done, that was $5,000 for Dr. Dobler. I can prove all of that, and I can prove I've taken no pay. So you don't know nothing, Richie.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on, Ken.
Report, and you rubbish the
report. Of course, I read the report.
It's a waste of time.
What I saw in the report was disturbing. To write a 31-page subversion report, like I said, I'd expect that of Tommy Archer at the Church of Scientology in Los Angeles. It's disturbing, Ken.
Is that what you came up with? Is that what you studied
Ken.
over the weekend? I'm gonna smear him with accusations of likeness
Let's
to
move
Scientology.
on, Ken. Let's
that's
move
pretty
on.
good.
Let's
I
move
have
on.
to say, Richie, nice one. Stooping
Let's move
to an
on.
even lower
No,
level.
I'm not.
Yeah,
No,
I'm all about Scientology.
A lot of people have said that.
Tactics,
I never said you
Richie.
were,
That's what
Ken.
it's all
Never
about.
said you were. Never said you were, my friend.
Why do you keep comparing me to some
Because
Scientology
that's what
bullshit?
it looks like. It's disturbing when you see that. A lot of people have said that online. You read your own Facebook page, Ken. Look, let's move on from that. Let's move on from that.
No, I don't actually. I'm not wrapped up in this myopic, activist scene. I am not sitting here basing my judgment of myself or my mission on what people say who are idiots and have no knowledge of anything.
Can I move on to something? Can I move on to something?
It's not my world, Richie. I live in the whole world. I'm actually concerned about people around the whole world. I'm not concerned about this very holier-than-thou, hypocritical, guilty until proven innocent. My God, Max Egan has spoken, and I'm condemning Ken O'Keefe because my God says so. It is a farce. It is an insult, and it shows just how much we are pretending when we say we care. If you believe in rights at all, if you believe in natural rights, human rights, then you must consider the principle of innocent until proven guilty sacrosanct. And yet, you, on many different levels, accusing me of blackmail.
I'm asking you, Ken. I'm asking you questions. This is what it's all about. This is what radio is, Ken.
Lynch mob mentality.
Not at all,
guilty
Ken.
until presumed innocence, and you have yet to provide any evidence of any of your positions. And I challenge you yet again to publicize, to put out in the public what evidence you have to support your contention. I will be putting out evidence, Richie, over the next 24 hours. So make no mistake, you got one hell of a challenge in front of you.
Let me put this here. Let's just move on. Let's move on.
Are we moving on from the Scientology and the integrity being impugned because I didn't, okay, good. Let's do that.
Ken, you're a big boy. You started off by accusing me of being a shoddy journalist, despite your best friend saying it was fantastic. I'm not rising to that. You did, Ken.
No.
Now, hang on a second. Hang on a second. Let's just talk about something that is important. Deanna Amato contacted me and asked me to endorse it. And it was nice that you thought of me. I didn't like the way Deanna conducted herself in dealing with people, particularly the volunteers and that at Wembley, and I didn't like her very much. So I sent her back a pretty strong worded reply. I think you've seen it. I think I copied you in on it. But I did wish you the best with it. I like initiatives. I like people trying to do things. And I looked at the Indiegogo campaign, and I didn't think it was possible at all. And I have said, and I'm a big boy, and I will, honour and stand over what I said. I have said that I thought it was a bit ridiculous. That's what I thought. Now, whether I'm right or wrong doesn't matter. That's what I thought. But you were very, very much about, from the very beginning, in the initial, in the text, and we've got all the text and all the videos, we're not going to play them, we don't need to, that this was all about, Ken, providing the legal means. This is what it was all about. Now, Max Egan's big problem with you began.
You've got that wrong. You've got that wrong. You
from
just
the word
said
go,
that it's
Ken.
all about providing a legal means. It has never been solely about legal. In fact, it's the lawful. Do you know the difference between legal and lawful, Richie?
Do you want me to read it out, Ken? Do you want me to read out what it says?
If you know the difference between legal and lawful is what I want to know.
Ken O'Keefe and his team are currently developing a legal and social strategic initiative that will have profound effects on releasing humanity from its current paradigm. It couldn't be any more clear, Ken, what this was about. This was going to provide the legal protection for people who wanted to exempt themselves from taxation. Now, what Max Egan says, and I'm going to ask you this, and then, my friend, I'm going to shut up and get out of your way. Max Egan says clearly, your problems began when he and the other team members noticed that you were backing away from that. And Max, he made the claim, and I've got to remind you of this because you're going to answer this, at least you said you would answer it shortly. Max said that you had told him that money had been spent on getting the legal opinion. I have no doubt it was. I don't doubt you at all. But that it wasn't coming back from whether it was Dr. Dubler or whoever, that it was going to be possible. And they got pissed off with your kind of perceived moving away from the commitments made at the very beginning of it. That's where this began, according to him. Now, it does look like, Ken, you've shifted tack over the months in terms of what this, what the pitch is. What the pitch is to the paying public. It's moved away from that. Now you're talking about it's always been more important to get the numbers. And you even mentioned a figure of 10 million. But there was no mention of this, Ken, when you went to the public and asked for $79,000. What do you say to that?
There was no mention of what?
There was no mention that the onus was on getting as many people signed up to it as possible. That the real crux of this was getting more and more and more people signed up. That didn't come till much later. You've even mentioned a figure, I think, of 10 million. So why did you change tack? Why did you move away from talking about this being a legal and strategic initiative to saying that really the more important thing is getting people signed up, which is what you're saying now. Now you say the numbers are the key, and the numbers always have been. But in the beginning you didn't. And that's where Max Egan's argument lies, isn't it?
Okay, did you say that you're going to get out of my way and let me actually respond to this without interrupting me? Is
Jesus
that correct?
Christ, yes I did, my friend. Go ahead. Of course I am. Okay. Off you go.
So I would refer everybody to the speeches I did across the United States on the Fuck the TSA tour, which was more about actually World Citizen than fucking the TSA. But nonetheless, I spoke throughout all over the country, including Canada, and I laid out exactly what the plan is. I said from the very beginning, and it is a lie, a bald-faced lie, that I never said that the social contract was meaningless in itself. The social contract in itself means nothing unless large numbers of people sign it. It will have no weight at all if there's only 1,000 people or even 100,000 people. It needs millions of people to have the power. And the reason why is because the light that we as people who are united, because we are extremely disunited if you haven't noticed, until we unite in a meaningful way and insist on our natural rights, insist on our nations not being compelled to pay for people to be violated in terms of wars of aggression, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. What I said, and I've said it a million times over, is that this mission is to provide a lawful, peaceful way to remove ourselves from the obligation to pay taxes which are being used to commit the gravest of crimes against both domestic and international law. I've said it so many times, I feel like I'm a recording. The strategy involves legal as well as lawful, and you should know the difference, but apparently you don't, I think. The legal plan involved the hiring of Dr. Dobler. And I asked him 4 questions. So we're going to get into it right now. And I want you, Richie, once I read the answers to these questions, I want you to acknowledge that you were wrong. But first, let me get into who Dr. Dobler is.
I'm asking questions, Ken. I'm asking questions. It's not about whether I'm right or wrong.
Dr. Dobler
is a well-known human rights lawyer. We know that, Ken. We don't need to waste time giving us his CV.
Your audience does not know that. No, your audience does not know that, and I'm going to make sure they do. Dr. Dobler is an international lawyer and academic who holds a Juris Doctor's degree from New York Law School. He also has a degree from a major university in the Netherlands, and he also has an international law degree from the London School of Economics and Political Science. He's written many books, including The Principle of Non-Discrimination in International Law, Introduction to Criminal Law, International Human Rights Law, Introduction to International Human Rights Law, and Introduction to International Humanitarian Law. This is the opinion that I asked of him. I asked him questions regarding our legal approach in terms of, does international law provide us any remedy when it comes to the payment of taxes? Here are the questions, and I'm going to give you the answers. So we'll hear from you afterwards whether or not that is a sound legal approach. Question number 1, and I want everyone to realize that Max had these questions and a contract between myself and Dr. Dobler way back in March. So, question number 1 to Dr. Dobler. Does international law recognize any human rights that can justify an individual's failure to pay public revenue charges or taxes? So, in other words, Is there a defense in international law when a person chooses not to pay their taxes? Here is his answer. The answer to the first question is that international human rights law can be a justification for an individual's failure to pay public revenue charges or taxes when it can be proven that the payment of taxes contributes to an illegal action. So, yes, we have a legal approach. Question number 2, Richie.
He's wrong, Ken.
Question number 2.
He's wrong, though.
What?
He's wrong, I think. I've been looking into this.
Oh.
We all have access to lawyers, Ken. It's never worked. It's been tried 1,000 times. This is why I couldn't understand at the very beginning why you kept so much of this secret.
I'm sorry. You're not letting me read let the audience decide for themselves.
Ken.
Richie Allen is on record as saying that Dr. Dobler is wrong. His understanding of international law is better. Fine.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. He's obviously a very bright guy and he knows a lot more about the law than I ever know.
My strategy has been employed 1,000,000 times over. Really? Wow. I didn't know that. Who did that? Nobody's done this strategy. This is the legal opinion, which is part of an overall strategy that involves legal and lawful approaches. Don't you dare say this has been done 1,000,000 times before.
A number of people in the past have cited reasons when they've been brought to court for non-payment of income tax, have tried the government is doing unethical things with my money, and it's never worked, Ken. Ever.
Really? Well, you wonder
why?
Well,
at least in the cases that we've seen,
Richie, and you wonder why we need the numbers, do you? Because you know the difference? The arguments that people are making in the courts are purely legal. They don't have lawful arguments, and they don't have 1,000,000 or 10 million people who've signed on to a lawful social contract, which is very different from the social contract you've been entered into as a citizen or a subject of the United Kingdom or a citizen of Ireland or a citizen of the United States or a citizen of anywhere. Most people have been entered into that social contract at birth with an all capital letters fictitious corporate entity, and the system uses the legal system to be able to steal your rights away from you. I don't buy into that. I never, ever once said that there was some clever little legal loophole that we could go into court and beat the system within its own system. It's nonsensical. You will not find one statement from me, email, or any evidence whatsoever that I suggested anything
I'm going to offer a retort as proof. I can prove that you're again either not remembering some of the things that you've said, Ken, or that maybe maybe you're being a bit untruthful. So I can prove. You write on page 8.
I look forward to that, but I'm
doing it now. You write on page 8 of the Subversion Report.
No,
this is important.
Back to the questions and answers,
yeah, but
Richie?
It's important because
do we have enough time to get back to the questions and answers?
Of course, we have plenty of time, Ken. If you want to stay with me till 10 o'clock, my friends, you can.
Okay, good. So let's get on to question number 2.
Well, before you do that, though, because I have a question that's related to your answer. You see, again, this is how it works, Ken. And I'm not being sarcastic. I am not. This is how it works. You've said something, and I've got evidence that, well, maybe, said something a bit different. Now, you write on page 8.
Are we moving from the legal issue now? Or are we
We're
going
staying
from
with the legal issue.
Are we not finishing up the legal?
We're
going back to another...
We are staying with the legal issue,
I
Ken.
think the audience might actually enjoy me finishing up this point as you promised to me. Rather than bringing up another issue, is it directly related to the legal lawful strategy?
I just told you it is, Ken. And I'm going to remind you again, you're on my program. I'm the presenter, Ken, and my integrity is not at question here. Okay.
Oh, it is indeed.
No, it is.
Oh,
now,
it is.
Hang on a second. Stop being childish, Ken. This is serious stuff.
You stop being
Ken,
childish.
do you have any idea?
My integrity is in question.
Ken, have you any? Do you understand the seriousness of the allegations that have been made against you, Ken?
Richie.
Anyway, let me finish.
My integrity is not subject to the court of public opinion.
Never said it was.
My integrity is not contingent upon how popular I am. Your integrity, however, is linked to your journalistic skills, which are lacking.
The people who worked with you, Ken, resigned, walked away from you, and have called you a fraud, Ken.
Back to the resignations,
so now, let's move on. You said on page 8 of the Subversion Report...
Wait, I'm sorry, is this a legal matter, or are we going to another subject?
I'm going to try and find another way to say, yes, it is, Ken, in which you understand me. Yes, it is related to the legal matter.
Let's hear it.
You write on page 8 of the Subversion Report. In fact, I think one of the listeners earlier mentioned this on Facebook, and I was wondering, would you respond to it, or would one of your new team respond to it? You wrote on page 8 that you think it's strange that Max Egan is asking for a legally viable uniform commercial code, as this implies compliance with the system, and that you, Ken, on the contrary, You say you've never suggested that such a thing. Okay? Now, on the initial Indiegogo crowdfunding page, it says there is a lawful way to extract ourselves from tax obligations. Do you see the contradiction there, Ken?
You don't even know what Uniform Commercial Code means, do you?
Ken, come on, will you? Stop playing games and answer the question, Ken.
You tell me what Uniform Commercial Code is.
Listen,
you know?
You're not answering the question. You're refusing to answer. Well, it doesn't matter whether I know or whether I don't know.
I'm going to answer the question.
It doesn't matter whether I know or not.
I'm answering the question. I'm going to answer the question. So, Uniform Commercial Code, and I'm glad you bring this up, the screenshots proving that Max was asking me, actually demanding of me, effectively, that I have a UCC-compliant, a viable UCC-compliant legal plan. Now, for those that do know what UCC means, it means Uniform Commercial Code. It is only U.S. law, and it's applicable to commercial issues. Why Max was asking me for a UCC-compliant contract is just absurd. Mr. Noncompliance himself, Mr. Max Egan, Noncompliance, Global Day of Noncompliance, Fight the New World Order, Noncompliance, is asking me, practically demanding of me, a UCC-compliant contract. Are you kidding me?
But you said it, Ken, in the initial fundraising campaign.
For several months saying, Max, I never, ever once suggested that we would have a UCC-compliant contract. We do, however,
That's semantics, Ken.
That's
semantics, Ken.
Have an extremely strong legal strategy. But of course, whenever you let me get back to it, I'll get to question 2, 3, and 4, which will prove beyond any reasonable doubt that our legal strategy is not only unique, it is profoundly powerful, especially when combined with the lawful strategy, which I repeat, you do not appear to know the difference.
You're a very angry man, Ken. I'm asking you questions. You know, you can answer them. You can rant and rave and rant on all you want. It's not looking good for you, Ken. This is not sounding good, Ken.
I've never said that we would have a UCC-compliant contract.
But that's just semantics.
Max asking me for that really exposes himself to be a hypocrite. I don't know how Mr. Noncompliance is asking me for a UCC-compliant contract, but I have the proof that that's what he did. But even after that, by the way, even after he required a UCC-compliant contract, I actually gave him the contract with Dr. Dobler with these questions, which you don't seem to want me to put to the public and answer, but I'm going to. And these questions deal directly with any legitimate concern regarding our legal and lawful strategy. It isn't just the legal. This is the legal aspect of it, Richie. There is a lawful aspect of it as well. But on the legal merit, I want to get into question 2, 3, and 4.
Let's do that now, Ken. But let's do it in a timely fashion because I have a lot of questions for you, Ken. You're not going to like some of them. You're not going to like some of them, but I want to get through them.
These are one-sentence questions with one-sentence answers.
The floor is yours. Go ahead then.
And by the way, the entire legal opinion, which I will not be submitting for the public record, I have to say, I did not intend to divulge. Why
won't you be doing that, Ken? Ken, why won't you be doing that? These people have given you $115,000.
Because there's strategy.
Are you mad,
Ken? There is strategy. I am not. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Because the public demands that I provide critically sensitive strategic evidence on demand that I'm supposed to do that, even though I know this would be counter to our purposes because it would be giving our enemy the right.
But if it's legal, it doesn't matter. If it's legal, it's legal.
I am, Richie.
Anyway,
you think I'm stupid?
We could be
okay. After these
never said you were stupid,
people
Ken.
want to continue to claim that I don't have a legal strategy. Have at it. Good luck with that one. Let's get back to the questions and answers.
Question 2, then. Go ahead.
Question number 2. Do individuals have a right or an obligation not to support violations of international law by their state? Answer. The answer to the second question is that individuals have a right and an obligation not to support violations of international law by their state. Any listener who hears that must be excited because we have a prominent international human rights attorney saying that we not only have an obligation, we have a right. So this is a legal, viable strategy with a top-notch international attorney, but it gets better. Because after all, if you decide not to pay your taxes, as you point out, Richie, question number 3 deals with that, you're going to end up going to a national court first.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is that if you have an international issue, you will have to exhaust domestic remedy first. So you will enter into the U.S. courts or the UK courts or wherever it is you come from, and you will put forward your argument. You will lose unless you have a massive audience behind you and a whole bunch of inertia. But the fact is you will not go into an international court until you've exhausted national or domestic remedy. So
who's going to pay for that, Ken? Who's going to pay for the person going through
We'll
that.
get into that. We'll get back to that question, but we're not going to keep skipping all over the place.
That's important.
Question number 3 deals with the national courts. I will answer that question for you. Question number 3. Do national courts have a duty to recognize individual rights that are part of international law applying to a particular state? So if international law says a person has a certain right, are national courts forced to recognize that right? The answer to that question is, the answer to the third question is that national courts have a duty to recognize rights that are part of international law applicable to a particular state. This is the case because under international law, national law can never be a justification for a violation of international law. So in other words, yes, if that country has signed up to a treaty that has been violated, a state cannot pass a law that violates international law. It's that simple. Another very powerful strategic aspect of what we're doing. And the final question, Richie. Question number 4. What legal recourse does an individual have if his or her state forces him or her to contribute to taxes that are used to finance an action that violates international law? In other words, what can a person do if their government forces them to pay taxes that are used to commit domestic and international crimes? Answer number 4. Finally, the legal recourse an individual has if a state forces him or her to contribute to taxes that are used to finance an action that violates international law will depend at the international level on the procedures to which a particular state has agreed. International human rights mechanisms may be approached to determine a state's responsibility for forcing an individual under its jurisdiction to contribute to a violation of international law. In other words, it depends on the agreements that government has in specific treaty. There are international bodies who can be contacted, who can establish whether or not a state can be compelled to force a citizen to pay taxes. So once again, on all 4 of these questions, I am dealing exactly with the very issue you and Max Egan seem to be so concerned about, and I am happy to finally have released these 4 questions and answers because I know for a fact that anybody who is of sane mind and body will say to themselves, my God, he actually does have legal work, and it actually sounds quite promising. But of course, Rick, you know what, Richie? You can make your judgment, and you can just not sign on. But I'll tell you what.
Not making any judgments at all, Ken. That's why you're here.
The success of this plan, I'm just now ending. The success of this plan does not rely on the soundness of our legal strategy because we have a most sound legal strategy. The key to the success of this mission is numbers. Unless we get large numbers, it's a meaningless gesture. Nothing more, nothing less. And I've said that from the beginning. Any of the former team member who says otherwise are lying, and I will have other witnesses.
Everybody's lying. Everybody's lying, Ken. They're all lying.
And all of the speeches that I gave across the United States, every single one of them, I ended off with the very, very, very point that we will achieve nothing unless the numbers are huge. And that is why the social contract is put forward, because it has the capacity, and we'll talk about that next if you like. I
have a couple of things I want to pick you up on, though. Let me interject now.
To unite people in the millions.
Let me interject. I want to just make a couple of points on that. First of all, the opinion given to you, and I'm not going to question the credentials of the lawyer Dobler at all. Far from it.
His name is Dobler, by the way.
Excuse me, Dobler. Yeah. Okay. I've never heard the guy. I've never heard his name mentioned on media, so I didn't know how to pronounce it. Dobler. Okay, so his name is Dobler. As learned as he might be, Ken, it's an opinion. And I'm going to tell you another opinion. And I've read this, and funny enough, this goes way back, long before you and I met. I knew that anti-war organisations were looking at similar strategies to refuse to pay taxes based on what the government is doing with them. I think it's brilliant. I think it's laudable. However, a number of people have said in the past, including a number of scholastic legal minds, and people have said, what you might get away with is if you withhold the portion of your taxes, right? That portion that would be used by the, let's call it a military-industrial complex or the army of any particular country. If you took that route and said, right, they actually use 5% of what I give them, so I'll withhold that 5%. Now, I've heard that said before. I've also heard people say that the whole thing about I'm just not paying me taxes, doesn't matter what law you might cite, no matter what human rights you might cite, Ken, it's not going to matter in a court of law. You're going to be found guilty of not paying your taxes. Now, I want to ask you this. You talk about the numbers, and this is important. Another member of the team, a guy called Matt Dowell. Matt says bizarrely that you asked him to move to Dominica, and you talked to him about making a video campaign, and he says a pyramid marketing strategy that would be used to rapidly gain a large number of members and massive funds. The members would pay $12 a year or something like that, but they would also have to recruit 2 others as well before signing a kind of a declaration, a legally binding declaration, in order to become world citizens. Ken,
lawful, not lawful, not legal. You know, do research afterwards. You'll understand the difference.
That stinks of a pyramid scheme, Ken. It really does.
What is you cited a definition. Listen, I'm answering the question. You cited a definition.
It is a pyramid scheme, isn't it, Ken? Isn't it?
It's not. It is absolutely not. What is the nature of a pyramid scheme? What is the point of a pyramid? Okay. You go on, Richie. Sorry, go on. I'll wait for you.
I just described it. That's the very definition of it. You get people to pay $12 a year, but they've got to recruit 2 others. You could be talking about millions and millions, Ken. And you're in Dominica. And you're asking people to move to Dominica, which is a tax haven and has no extradition treaty. Do you have any idea how it looks, Ken?
Wow, you figured all that out.
No, I didn't figure it out, Ken. This is what you've done. Come on, Ken. Ken, the game is up. You've been asking people to move to Dominica. Why did you write to a guy called Peter begging him for money for Dominica? And then when he refused to give it you,
are we moving
you launched
away from
a
the pyramid
tirade.
Scheme accusation?
This is to do with the pyramid. This is to do with the pyramid scheme. Why did you write to a guy called Peter, ask him for money? He said no, and you abused him. Why did you do that, Ken? Why did you abuse him?
I must say, you are an embarrassment, Richie.
Ken.
I want to reply to your
Ken, don't say that.
You're simply saying what I'm doing is a pyramid scheme, and that's it.
It looks like a pyramid scheme, Ken. You're not answering the why Dominica? Why did you ask Matt Dowell to go to Dominica?
Matt told you so? Because Matt told you so. That's your journalistic integrity.
And your integrity, Ken, your integrity is to say that everybody is lying except you. You're the victim, Ken.
And you're interrupting me over and over.
Because you're lying, Ken. You're telling lies.
That basically I am committing fraud and intending to strip people.
I think you're telling lies, Ken.
You have said that, and you have not allowed me to answer that charge, and you based it on Matt.
I've based it on the email that you sent to Peter. I've based it on the fact your entire team have accused you of it. And I'm asking you, is it? You're the victim, Ken. This is the way your crowdfunding initiatives and your marketing strategies and your activism goes. You fall out with your entire team. This happens all the time, doesn't it? And they're wrong, not you, Ken. You're never wrong. All of these people who walked away from you because they said you were a fraud, they're all wrong, but not you.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Pyramid schemes, you're an idiot, Richie. Pyramid schemes.
Call me all the names you want, Ken. Doesn't matter. It's not changing the fact.
Interruptions again. You are an idiot. By their very nature, a pyramid scheme is intended to make those who get in early a bunch of money, and everyone who comes in later progressively gets less and less and less. That's the nature of a pyramid scheme. So effectively what you're saying is that I've created a pyramid scheme in which presumably I or others are going to make a ton of money. That is not the case. We do not have a pyramid scheme. I categorically deny that charge, but I will not be suckered into revealing all of our strategy because you know what, Richie, contrary to apparently your understanding of the way things work, strategy actually has a lot to do with how you approach your enemy, and revealing all of your cards before you're in a position to actually make your move is stupid.
I'm not buying it.
And you know what? This begs the question that Max Egan has falsely charged me with having no legal plan at all.
Why did he do that, Ken?
I have destroyed that.
Why did your friend do that, do you think?
And it's provably so. And why would Max Egan continue to claim that there is no legal strategy when clearly there is?
Why did your friend, Ken?
Maybe because he wanted to carry out this event and force me to divulge information which would compromise
your friend.
The strategy of the mission.
So he's
and
a shill. He's an insider, isn't he?
I will not. I will shoulder. Guess what, Richie?
He's your friend, Ken. He's been your friend for years.
I still have.
And you call him a shill because he asks you questions.
And I can spend that money how I want. So I guess
sure
we'll
you
just
will,
have
Ken.
to wait and see how rich I get over here in Dominica. And your insinuation that I chose Dominica because your friend told you so.
No, he didn't.
To come here because there's no extradition treaties. What
Ken,
evidence do you have to support that?
That is
Have I
what
for
the
the last
people
20
who
years
worked
been
with you have
basically
charged
paying
you
the
with.
foundation for a $100,000 swindle?
Ken.
Is that what you believe, Richie?
I never
Are
said
you a
I
fool?
never said
I've
that
risked
at
my
all.
life over and over.
Ah,
and
Ken,
said,
will you
by
stop
the way,
with the risk
last
your
week-
life thing? Will you stop with
last
that
week,
narcissistic
yeah, Richie,
bollocks,
we didn't
Ken?
risk our life on the
Narcissistic
Yeah,
bollocks.
we didn't risk
You
our
risked your
lives
life
as
for
human
nobody.
shields,
Will you
Richie.
stop?
Yeah, we don't risk our lives. No, we don't risk our lives at all. Going to Gaza and living
on,
there for
Ken.
6 months. My friend was murdered. Vittorio Arioni was murdered in Gaza while I was there.
And
Don't you dare tell me we aren't risking our lives. You aren't, because you're a pseudo-journalist who's doing a big favor to the powers that be with your
Am I,
shoddy
Ken?
journalism.
I'm a shield too,
and
am I?
continue
CIA,
have
COINTELPRO,
comparisons to
am I?
Scientology and all this nonsense.
Ken, why did you write to Peter asking for money for property in Dominica?
What
And
a ridiculous direction to take this whole thing.
when he said no very politely,
Email
why did
from a
you
guy who
launch a
offered to
tirade
help
at
me
him?
save my
Hateful
land.
email.
I want to
Why?
tell you something else, Richie. I actually, funny enough, and I have the proof of this as well. Not only have I not taken any pay all these months.
Never
while
said
having
you
paid
have, Ken.
others- No, I'm going to finish this point. I actually have the contract to show that the land that I was attempting to purchase in partnership with a friend, I've lost it. As of August 31st, I have defaulted, and I was already going to default. I did not have the money because I would never use people's money for my own
I never
personal
said you would,
benefit.
Ken. I've never suggested it.
I have protected that money like a lion protects its cub. I have protected that money to the
Well, I
point
hope
that
you'll
I've
prove
taken no
that,
pain.
Ken. I hope
And
you'll
I've lost
prove
my
that.
land. And I'm going to prove that too, Richie.
Good.
I'm going to prove in the public realm that the first land, I'm 47 years old, never in my life have I owned a home or land. Never once.
I've
And the
never
one piece of
suggested,
land
Ken,
I
that
signed
you
a
used any
contract
money
for,
at all.
I couldn't pay. And the reason why I couldn't pay is because I put my energy into this mission, not fucking getting a place for me to live, as much as I wanted. But no, you happen to allow someone to come on with baseless accusations, accuse me of going to a country because it has no extradition treaties, so I can go out and live the life on a $100,000 scam that I carried out over the course of 2 decades.
Do you know something,
It
Ken?
is
Do you know
ridiculous.
something? Do you know something? I've never said that, and I've not intimated it, and I certainly am not going to, that you've used any money to buy the land. What I'm trying to get you to understand. Let me finish, Ken. Please, let me finish, and then you can.
Excuse me, I apologize.
I have interrupted you, Ken, but it was to impugn something that you said. Let me just explain. I don't think, Ken, that you have any idea how serious these allegations are. You keep referring to Max. It's the entire team, Ken. Everybody who worked on this with you from the beginning has walked away and has made these allegations. That's the truth of it, right?
Thankfully.
But your
other
answer is
people
all the time that
are
everybody is
Thankfully-
COINTELPRO, everybody's against me. That's your answer. It's not
Everybody's
good enough,
against
Ken.
me. And it doesn't matter.
It's not good
do
enough,
you
Ken.
believe in the principle of law and innocence until proven guilty or not, Richie?
I do.
These
That's
are
why you're
serious
here, Ken.
allegations.
They're very
and where
serious,
is the
Ken.
evidence? I challenge
Thank God
you
I'm not
again,
being
Richie.
accused of it, Ken.
I challenge you again, Richie, to put the evidence to the public. Put the evidence you have. All you have is hearsay. You have nothing. You are a shoddy pseudo-journalist who has no
Ken.
evidence. You will not put anything to the public record.
I've put
because
plenty
you
to
don't
the
actually
public, Ken.
have
I've put
journalistic
plenty.
integrity
I've put
whatsoever.
plenty. But what you start doing is screaming and ranting and calling people names. That's what you do, Ken. I've seen.
You want to talk about name
That's
calling,
what you
huh?
do, Ken.
You
You're
want to talk about name calling?
You've called me an idiot. I'm a shoddy journalist. I'm a pseudo-journalist. I'm asking you serious questions.
accuse
Ken.
me or
do you
imply
care? Do you
I'm
care about the
committing
people who
blackmail
donated you
and fraud? Yes, I will.
$150,000? Do you care about the people who gave you their money, Ken? Do you care about them? Do you understand?
serious
You
question?
have to answer. Yes,
What
it
I said.
is. Because you must answer these questions, Ken. You must answer them.
What question? Do I care about the people who donated?
Your answer, Ken, your answer always is, Ken, everybody else is subversive. They're all subversive. The entire team that resigned, they're subversive. They're trying to mess up the mission.
I'm sorry. We're going from money to... Yeah, okay, yeah.
But these people are making these allegations, Ken. I'm trying to impress upon you the seriousness of those allegations. And you've not offered any proof, Ken. You haven't.
Of what? Do you want proof? I will be supplying
You've thrown a lot of
proof.
names around. You've shouted a lot.
I will be supplying proof. Yeah, okay. I will be supplying proof that I have taken no pay and that I have paid these people, and I've already proven to you that the legal strategy is not only sound, it's damn impressive, to say the least. So I'm wondering, why are you saying or suggesting that I have done something inappropriate with the money when you have no evidence? What evidence do you have, Rich? I don't care about accusations.
I haven't said that at all, Ken.
I care about evidence.
I haven't said that at all.
Where is the evidence?
Where's the evidence you didn't do it, Ken?
Didn't do what?
Where's, as I said to you 5 minutes ago, I haven't accused you of. Well, you're saying to me, where's the evidence? The team thinks, the original team, they believe because of their dealings with you.
And they believe. Oh my God!
Hang on a second, Ken. Hang on a second, Ken. Let me just read.
And they believe.
Let me read you something, Ken.
But you don't need evidence, right?
Ken, let me read you something.
Evidence, Richie?
Let me read you something, Ken.
Do you have any evidence, Richie?
It's from a guy called Matt Dow.
Do you have any evidence, Richie? Or do you have hearsay? Are you going to keep reading hearsay stuff with no evidence? Is that what you're going to do for the entire interview?
Ken, I don't think right now, I don't think you're in the best frame of mind, Ken.
No, I think you're actually
$115,000 was given to you
I don't care
by the public.
How upset I've been about this. Nothing changes the
public,
facts.
Ken.
I have instead of you saying,
and the team walked away.
Instead of you saying that's a rather impressive legal strategy, and Max told me you had
it
nothing.
It isn't impressive,
rather than
Ken.
You acknowledging on public air.
Ken, it's not impressive.
I was falsely led to believe that Ken had no legal strategy at all, and I went down the garden path of my good buddy Max Egan. Instead of you having the integrity to acknowledge, well, I have to say that is a sound legal strategy.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is, Ken.
You have not in any way. I want you to admit that with that evidence that Max lied to you. He lied to you and he lied to the public. He said I had nothing. I have more than something. I have something extremely powerful, and I've read you part of it, and it gets better, by the way. So how dare you sit here and tell me that it's my frame of mind that is out of whack? You are the one who continues to throw out hearsay with zero evidence. Zero, Richie. You have nothing.
Right, let me just, are you finished now? Yeah, all right.
For now.
Ken, what's this you have nothing nonsense? Let me just sum up.
You have hearsay. I'll give you that.
Let me sum up the way things are right now. People donated to the project because they thought it was worthwhile. $115,000. Good stuff. Congratulations. The team, Ken, all of the team, Ken, can you not understand that, have walked away after asking you questions and being abused by you for asking questions, verbally abused at times. They've walked away from
evidence. You have hearsay.
Ken, they've posted it.
Where's the evidence of that?
It's all over peacefulandlawful.com, Ken. Screen grabs of conversations.
So cite some. What, people said something, or is there actual evidence? Is there an email? Because that email, the context of the email with Peter is that this man who was introduced to me by Samantha Bachman, who I will not go so far as Max Egan or yourself or others who will condemn in a court of public opinion. I have my suspicions that Samantha is in fact somehow working for the enemy, and she introduced me to this man, Peter, who offered to help me because I did not have the money to be able to save my land. This man told me not only that he would give me the loan at good terms, was secured by the land itself, but he got in contact at my discretion with the estate agent, and we actually wrote up an addendum to the original contract based on him acknowledging his willingness to give me that loan. And at the last second, he pulled out with a bunch of nonsense and put me into a position where now I'm going to lose the only piece of land I ever had. And I'm sitting here trying to do this mission, and I was upset. And that is the worst email you'll find. I will, by the way, I want to read you something in terms of frame of mind. Let's see how much credence you will give to something like this. This is in reply.
This is obfuscation, Candice. You're not answering the questions.
Out there for you to know. This is Max Egan in the last week. This is Max Egan. This is Matt on Facebook. This is Mountain Smithy. In light of Max Egan's association friendship with Zen Gardner, three-decade-long PR leadership position in a cult known for pedophilia, Children of God, I can't listen to him anymore. Seems like a whole alt media is just a bunch of con artists infighting about how they're going to fleece their following. Here is Max's reply. This is in the last week. Attended 3 conferences that Zen spoke at as well, organized by someone else. Seen him 3 whole times even while I was there. And Louis Sutton asked him to join Full Circle Project about a year ago or so. Yeah, right. Big association and worthy of all kinds of conspiratorial assumptions from those that are truly fucking moronic. I tell you what, go shove your COINTEL fake assumption bullshit up your butt and then go have anal sex with a fucking chainsaw. After dealing with Zen shit and this crap from Ken, I have a short fuse for accusational fuckheads these days. If you have something to say to me, come and say it to me in the real world rather than trolling threads like a fucking shit for brains loser, dipshit, man enough? So do you think that Max is in any position to be sending out in a public realm a private email in which a man who promised me a loan that would have saved my land, and my response, which is well measured compared to this go fucking fuck a chainsaw shit? Now, I'm wondering, how much do you think Max's stability and state of mind should be questioned? That email you have from Peter is worthless.
Yeah, hang on a second now, Ken. Hang on a second now.
If people knew the context of that email, they'd understand why I was so upset.
You're asking us to take your word for it, Ken. You see, that's what it all comes down to. You're asking us to take your word for it.
I just read you a quote from Max Egan.
Yeah, but Max is not... If Max said that, it's foolish. I wouldn't be writing to people like that. I wouldn't be saying that to people.
Is his state of mind in question? Is his state of mind in question, then, Richie?
But we're talking, Ken. We are talking about you, Ken.
Another example?
You are here,
Ken. Another example?
Because your integrity has been challenged.
Go fuck a porcupine. How about more?
We're here to talk.
Do you question Max Egan's state of mind, Richie?
We're here to talk about you, Ken.
No.
We are here to talk about you.
His integrity is an issue.
Ken, I think you're finished. You know that.
The man who accused me primarily, his integrity is an issue. Don't you dare play that sideswipe diversion crap.
Come on,
His
Ken.
stability and state of mind is an issue. And if he's writing that kind of thing, or how dare you challenge me on an email, a personal email between myself and a man who fucking basically pulled out on something that caused me great harm and distress.
I read his email. It was lovely. It was courteous. It was sympathetic. And he just declined to give you the money. And you went for him. In a rather disturbing way, Ken.
Fine. That's your conclusion. I really don't give a fuck.
I read the two emails, Ken. Ken, this is not going anywhere, Ken, is it?
I can supply multiple emails, screenshots of Max threatening, vulgar, nasty stuff. I've got it. I'll put it out there for you to see. And I'm wondering when you're going to say, I have to question Max Egan's state of mind. But you won't do that because you're buddies, Richie.
Oh, Ken.
Yeah. I know. Baseless, isn't it?
That's just,
one standard for me and one standard for another. Mr. Guilty until proven innocent. You're here simply to be on the defensive. You're here to answer my questions because you are guilty until presumed innocent.
Ken, hang on now. You're here to answer the questions that those who donated asked me to put to you. And you're not doing a very good job of it, Ken. Because you're getting angry.
Good about it,
you're
Richie.
getting
I'm
angry.
Happy for this to be on record.
You're getting angry.
I don't
your
think
name
you're
calling.
Be feeling very good about it on reflection. Believe you me.
Is that a threat, Ken? Is it?
What are you talking about? I'm talking about the public opinion you care so much about. I don't think you're going to be smelling like a rose after this interview. I will stand by everything I've said, no matter how it's been delivered. You have nothing. Nothing but hearsay. Nothing.
So will I. You have, it sounds to me like you have absolute contempt for the people who donated to your campaign.
Don't you
put
words in my mouth. Don't you put words into my mouth. Don't you dare put words in my mouth. I will say even right now, Max is a man whom I've loved. He stayed in my home. He's met my family. My children have sat in his lap. I never did anything to harm him. Even when he was ridiculing, misrepresenting my mission,
so why are we here now,
I kept my mouth shut.
Why are we here now then?
What?
It's a good question, Ken. I made this point earlier on, but you didn't want to answer it and you shouted me down. This man has been a great friend of yours. Let me finish, Ken. Let me finish now, just very quickly.
I will not.
He's asked questions of you.
Accusations. All I will
and you wrote a subversion report, Ken.
Okay, whatever.
He's asked questions, Ken. He's asked questions of you and what's going on. And you wrote a subversion report, sent it to him, and said, if I get any whiff of your bullshit or your mates, I'll publish it. Is that the way you treat a friend, Ken?
Incredible.
I'd hate to see how you treat your enemies, mate.
I'm going to you're an idiot, Richie. For those, again, out in the audience, go look up Max Egan, Monkey Mind. He's talking about me. He's rubbishing the mission. He's causing damage. I have proof on many different levels of this subversion. That is the reason why we were delayed for so many months. And that is the reason why I did not give an update, because I did not want to out Max Egan. And I basically lied.
What do you mean out him, Ken?
Very unusual for me when I did not tell the truth about Max's subversion. But my proof of subversion is the difference between me and you. I actually have proof, empirical evidence, as opposed to your ridiculous
You don't have any
hearsay.
proof of subversion, Ken. You have no proof of. Max has basically disagreed with you, and you.
Hang
on,
right?
Ken,
you
please.
Have no proof.
Ken,
I have no proof
Ken,
of
please.
subversion.
Let me
Okay.
finish. Let me finish,
Good.
Ken. Let me finish. You're working in a campaign together, and Max doesn't like the way it's going, and he's not happy with it. Your response, Ken, is to threaten him with a subversion report. What sort of friend does that?
No, you're a joker, man. Whatever, that's your contention.
You're just not going to answer the question,
Ken.
Kenny. See, this is the thing.
I did everything I could. I've just told. So, what is your answer to the question? How do you think I should deal with it as the mission leader when somebody, my friend, supposedly gets out in public? Max Egan, Monkey Mind.
Ken, this came after the subversion report, Ken.
Go watch the video.
But it came after the subversion report, Ken.
You are an idiot, Richie. That is subversion of the highest level. Max is pretending as if he's representing my mission, and he's doing it in a highly negative way, totally misrepresentative. That is classic subversion to the T. And yet you're so stupid you don't realize that, and you won't acknowledge it
now as well.
because you are a friend of Max, and you are not a journalist.
I'm stupid.
I'm getting tired of you repeating these. You are not asking me questions.
I've asked you plenty of questions. You've given no answers, Ken.
In terms of an accusation,
you've given no answers. You've just not given me answers. This is the problem. You see, you don't have any answers.
I quote you. I didn't give you answers. That's Richie Allen.
You haven't satisfied any of the key points, the key questions that we've been asking. You haven't satisfied
the legal strategy, right? I've got no legal strategy. No answers there, right, Richie?
Ken, you've got an opinion from a lawyer. That's all you have, Ken.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. What? Oh, I'm sorry. What am I supposed to do now? Am I supposed to lay out the entire strategy for you and exactly what we're going to do? Is that what you're saying I need to do to be able to keep myself innocent? I have to prove that I have something beyond what I've already shared with you? Is that the way it is?
He's given an opinion, hasn't he? He's given an opinion, right?
The opinion
He's a lawyer,
is
right?
the basis of the legal strategy that we employ, you idiot. I really am getting tired of this. It is so nonsensical.
You think you're getting tired of it?
You won't even acknowledge that we have a viable legal strategy
because
and that
you
I've
don't.
supplied you proof that Max Egan had this on March 22nd, I believe. The fact that
you're
you
a
won't
funny
do
man,
that,
Ken. You're a funny man. You're a funny man.
You will be facing those in your audience who are going to say to you,
Ken,
acknowledge these very valid responses.
Hang on a second now, Ken.
Questions.
Ken,
why don't you acknowledge the fact that I have said on record I have taken no pay at all?
I did acknowledge that. I did acknowledge that.
Why don't you acknowledge any of the positive things you've not?
You have to prove
anything.
it though, Ken. You have to prove that, Ken.
So am I supposed to put a screenshot of all the accounting from here? I have the accounting in order. If anybody
you can get a summary of it done, Ken. Just get a summary.
Wants to lodge a serious accusation based on evidence, have at it. I look forward to the opportunity to deal with that, but I will be.
Do you know what you just said there, Ken? This is really important. You've said something very strange there now, my friend. You've said something very strange in the last couple of minutes. One of the things you said about 3 minutes ago was, you've called me, I'm an idiot, I'm stupid, I'm this, I'm that, because I won't acknowledge that you have a strategy. And you've actually in the same breath said that you'd be foolish to reveal the strategy. So I can't win, Ken, can I? I can't win in that scenario.
No, I've told you enough to prove beyond any reasonable doubt that we have an opinion which forms the basis of our strategy, and I will not be so stupid as to reveal my cards to my enemy. How dumb is that? I've already revealed more than I would have chosen to, but due to Max's slander, criminal accusations, I am forced to reveal what I have in part, but I will maintain the most powerful part of that strategy because it would be stupid to put that out in the public realm. The fact that you apparently don't get this really questions your intelligence. Seriously. So now, I will not reveal the entire strategy because of baseless allegations with no evidence at all.
Do you know what I think, Ken? Do you know what I think? And I must preface this by saying, I don't necessarily believe in God, but if there is some higher power out there, I swear this, that I certainly have no personal beef with you. I never have had. I've invited you on the programme before. I've enjoyed you coming on. Based on your performance tonight, Ken, and based on what you've said, and based on what's happened in the last few days, I can't not see the way you deal with people when they question you. You become a bully, Ken. You become aggressive. You call them names. You've done it tonight, Ken. This is what the team has said about you. But you say they're all liars, of course. The 7 of them are lying and you're not. When you're challenged, Ken, you become aggressive, you become angry, and you start throwing, I would call it obfuscation, basically. Throw a whole load of names in there and it'll muddy the water. But it's not working, Ken. Look at the Twitter feed. It's not working. People are not impressed with it. They're saying he's not giving us answers. He's refusing to say what the full legal strategy is. Rich, you're an idiot. You don't get the strategy, but you're not giving it to me.
Yeah.
You see? And you find it funny, Ken, that you're being called a fraud and a thief. You find that funny. I don't find it funny, Ken.
I find you funny, Richie.
I don't find that funny.
Me.
Do you know what we should do, Ken, at this point?
Me.
At this point, I don't think this is going to go much further. Unless there's something else you'd like to say, Ken.
Oh, sure. Yes, I would, actually. Thank you very much. So let's get into some more of the evidence as opposed to the actual hearsay that you've been so impressed with. In terms of the communications between me and Max, you still maintain the position that effectively I blackmailed him, yeah?
Do you want me to read it again, Ken?
Yeah, no, I'm going to read you something new. You've already read it, right? Do you need to read it again?
I do, because it's 2 lines. Good boy. What I said in the report will be public the moment I hear one whiff of your bullshit from you or your friends.
Yeah.
You know what the implication is, Ken? Don't talk about me or I'll expose you. Of course it's blackmail, Ken.
So it doesn't matter to you that this man was badly misrepresenting the plan in public, and I've referred people to it. Max Egan, Monkey Mind. You can go see Max Egan, literally, intentionally misrepresenting the mission, rubbishing me without naming me, and it is blatant. That is subversion. That is not helpful, especially when Max was fully aware that I had a sound legal strategy in place and was getting the legal work required to implement that strategy. That is a knowing and willful intent to do harm and to deceive the people. He did it back in April, and I sat with it. I didn't do a thing. I wrote the report in order to show him that I had proof. But what you're counting on is that people will not take the time to look at the evidence, and I will supply that evidence in a more easily digestible way for them over the next day. So I can tell you this right now, Richie, I'm actually feeling very good about it all.
I'm glad you are, Ken. I'm glad for you. I'm thrilled for you.
I've got the truth and evidence on my side.
Doesn't sound as though.
Contrary to your Twitter feed and your band of lynch mob idiots who have somehow, some way managed to ignore the fact.
Ask Ken O'Keefe a question and you'll get called an idiot, eh?
With the legal matters.
Ken, you're an incredibly angry man, Ken.
In fact, have something that is akin to liquid gold.
Never met anybody as angry as you, Ken.
I'm not concerned what your Twitter feed or your friends or even the activist scene thinks. I'm concerned with the billions of people around the world who realize that the current path of humanity is not sustainable. We need to find a way to come together. The social contract that will be presented, which I talked about all across the country, in Canada and the United States, that social contract has the capacity to unite people by the millions, in fact, tens of millions, even potentially hundreds of millions, have the capacity to sign that contract if it captures their imagination. Despite all of your detractors, all of the people out there who think this, that, or the other, I'm actually not concerned, overly concerned anyway, about the people who call themselves activists or alt media in the Western world. I'm concerned about the billions of people who share this planet with us, who don't have a voice, who are going to be well impressed that we in the West have finally said we're going to stop paying for these horrendous crimes we commit against people all over the world. I am sick and tired of it. This strategy is not only sound, it is incredibly powerful. And no matter what you do, no matter how many people live in the
I can't wait to see the strategy, Ken,
no
because
matter what any of you do,
the strategy better be good, mate.
And I will reveal the strategy, and it
can't wait to see
be powerful. But either way, I will have done my best. And I don't give any concern or any kind of over-worrying about any of this, all of this stuff that I'm going through, these false accusations, baseless criminal accusations that lack all evidence, mean nothing. This is par for the course.
Well, we'll have to see whether there's no evidence or not, won't we, Ken? Because you're going to have to publish your accounts, you know? We'll see if they're baseless, Ken, when you publish your accounts. As you have a duty to do to those who donated to you.
Richie,
right?
I will publish what is required by the law, the accounts, within a week. And when I prove there you go, on air, within a week, I want a public apology from you when you see that I haven't received
I've not accused you of anything, Ken.
And I paid these people.
Oh, holy Jesus. I've not accused you of misappropriating the money at all. I'm here to ask you questions. I've never accused you of using the money inappropriately. I've never accused you of that. I haven't done it today. I haven't done it any day. The people who worked with you have called you out on that, Ken.
Why are you insisting I put the accounts out there then? Why are you expecting us to do something that is not required by any organization, any business?
You are not seriously asking me that question, are you?
Why am I supposed to supply on demand when baseless accusations of fraud and theft have occurred. Why am I supposed to do that? Is
By
that
a
the world
lot
you want us
of
to live in,
people
Richie?
who worked for you, Ken.
What have
By
they said?
a
What
lot
evidence
of
have they
people
supplied? They
who
worked for me.
worked
Where's the
for
evidence?
you. They are asking to see this information. Did you really? I'm going to make an example of it. I'm going to take that clip out, Ken. You're actually asking me, why should you publish account information to prove that you haven't taken any money for yourself or anything else? You actually said that, Ken. In light of what your team have accused you of, you have no option. You have no option but to publish that information.
Do you believe?
Ken O'Keefe is saying on air that he's not going to publish the information.
Do you believe in law or do you believe in mob mentality, Richie? Which one do you believe in?
I believe in
Which one?
transparency, Ken.
Oh, really?
You've been accused, Ken. You've been accused
On-demand
by the people who work for you, Ken.
Everyone should have to divulge their books on demand when
Your
baseless
team
allegations
have
with no evidence to
claimed
support it
that
have been lodged. Is that the world you suggest we should have?
these people worked for you, Ken. This is not some idiot who hates Ken O'Keefe because he's an idiot. These
So I
aren't
have
people.
to prove-
These are
I
people
have-
who
I have-
worked
I
for
have-
you, Ken. 8 of them, including Max
I have-
Egan and 7 others.
I
8
have to
people,
prove my
Ken.
innocence, right? I have to prove my innocence, right, Richie? That's the word
Absolutely,
people-
Ken.
I have to
You
prove
took
my-
$115,000 from people. They have a right to know that it's being spent properly. Oh,
Wow.
Ken, I cannot believe.
Wow.
Ken,
Wow.
you've hung yourself out to dry, mate.
I have to prove my innocence. Wow.
Yes, you
well,
do,
you're gonna
Ken.
look like an idiot for real once I show that I took no pay, aren't you?
Do you know what I will do, Ken?
And that I lost my land.
Ken.
And that I lost my land.
my God.
What an idiot you're going to look like.
Ken,
I'm
when
not
you-
rude at all, Richie.
when you
Enjoy
post-
your Twitter feed, it's all you got, along
Ken,
with hearsay.
When you post that information, I will be thrilled to
Oh, I
post
can
it
feel the
and to
sincerity
share
there,
it.
my brother.
Oh, listen, don't question you don't know anything about me, Ken. Let me tell you, if you publish that information, I will be delighted and I will share it everywhere. I will make sure that it's shared on every website that I have a hand in, on every social media page. Absolutely right. I haven't accused you of anything. People who have worked for you have accused you. They worked for you, Ken. It's not just some idiot who dislikes you or hates you. These people work for you, so you are obliged to prove they're telling
Are you
lies.
so foolish that
I
you've
obviously
never
am.
heard of disgruntled employees who
Ah,
don't like their
Ken.
boss? Are
Oh,
you
come
kidding
on,
me?
Ken. All 8 of them.
You apparently are completely and totally oblivious to the reality of infiltration and subversion, and only people who've never been involved in activist circles, who've done direct actions, would be so foolish as not to know that we are so heavily infiltrated, it's not even funny. This is not paranoia, it's a reality. It's the way the system uses their tools
Nonsense.
and minions to be able to divide us from
Nonsense.
within. And Max Egan, all too ironically,
Nonsense,
has
Ken.
fed into that with no information, no evidence at all, nothing but hearsay. And you have bought it hook, line, and
I've
sinker
not
the
bought
whole
anything.
way. It
You're
is
here to
embarrassing.
respond to these allegations and you refuse to.
Yeah, your position is I have to prove my guilt. That is your official, I have to prove my innocence. That is your official position. Richie Allen believes
You
that
are
because
being
people
accused
bring
by
up
8
baseless
people who
accusations,
worked for you
baseless
of
accusations
misappropriation of
require
money.
You to prove your innocence. What an incredible reversal of all
No,
principles
Ken.
of actual
No, it
law.
isn't. No, it isn't, Ken.
Actual law
No, it
requires
isn't, Ken.
the-
No, it
the-
isn't,
the
Ken.
principle of
Ken,
innocence
you're
until
wrong.
proven guilty.
Ken,
Yeah.
you are 100% wrong, my friend. You are 100% wrong.
On what? On what?
Everything you just said there is wrong. Your
Innocence until proven guilty is wrong.
employees resigned from your business, Ken. They walked away from you and accused you
We're
of fraud.
back to the resignations. Wow.
Well, we know
Enjoy
they resigned.
that Twitter feed, brother.
We know
You got
they
a Twitter
resigned.
feed, man.
Ken, I want to thank you for coming on. Thanks for coming on.
That's insincere.
I appreciate that. Look after yourself.
I'm sure you
I look
do.
forward to seeing the proof that you said you would offer, and I look forward to seeing the legal strategy. And I thank
look
you for
forward
coming
to
on.
your I look forward to your humbling apology in public.
You won't get one because I haven't accused you of anything. I've put questions to you based on the people who worked for you. Ken, look after yourself. Bye for
the
now.
time.
Bye now. Ken O'Keefe on the line to us there from Dominica. And I just got tired of that. I said I'd give him 90 minutes. It was like 83 minutes. Max got an hour and 4 minutes. I'm not getting anywhere with him. I did say earlier on in the week that I wouldn't editorialise about it, and I'm not going to. I'm not. I'm not going to say another word about it except this. His contention is that he is not obliged to provide financial information, an account of where that money has gone and has been spent is ludicrous and it's untenable. It's untenable because 8 people who have worked for him resigned. He was caught out in a monumental lie earlier on. When he said on June 25th, I've got the clip here, he said basically that he released the team. He didn't, they resigned. And we only needed to provide one example of that. And the gentleman, William Gensk, sent Ken a letter of resignation. Ken responded to it. And in that resignation letter, in Ken's response to it, Ken said, oh, and it will be reflected in the record, the really good work you've done. But Ken said on June 25th that he released him. Subversion. You know, he's a lot of questions to answer, does Ken O'Keefe. He's not answered any of them here. And that's a shame. You know, I was never going to rise to that. You know, you're an idiot, you're not a real journalist, all of that bollocks. I was never going to rise to it. He's got serious questions to answer. Whether he chooses to do so or not, I don't care. I'm done with it. My listener said to me, did you see what Max Egan has written? I donated to that. I need to know what's going on. Hence the interview with Max and the interview with Ken O'Keefe. And we'll leave it at that. I'm not going to read out your comments on it.